We know their names.
My name is Aloma Blake. And needless to say, occasions such as these are difficult to face.
And we heard their stories.
On December 12, 2006, my son Dorian Algavis Blake was taken from us. Dorian was a son, a grandson, a brother, a cousin, a friend, a musician, and much more.
These family members you are about to hear from are remembering the loved ones whose lives were cut short by violence.
My son, his name is Barry George, he was murdered 6 days before his 23rd birthday of March of this year. God, in my entire life I never even know there is anything that is so painful.
Mr. David P. Jr. My son was murdered September 7th, 2012. He was home washing his clothes, minding his business, when a group of thugs in Anna's Retreat, they from where they live, come to my son's house, grab him and kill him, leave him on the floor, to bleed to death. It pained my heart. That was my only boy, my only son. I raised him to the best of my ability.
Wednesday was National Day of Remembrance for murder victims, a day set aside to give everyone the opportunity to remember those lost to homicide and honor their memories.
My name is Estelita Peterson, and on January 31st, 2009, my husband was shot while at home. Subsequently, he died the next day. And he was shot on the 30th, he died the 31st. And in the next year, May 9th, a present that no mother would want, my nephew Ajayi Henneman was murdered. And I stand here today in remembrance of them, painful, but God is still good.
Pictures of the homicide victims and names were shared at Emancipation Garden on St. Thomas. The event was presented by the Department of Justice's Victims Services Unit, the host of the event, along with the Family Resource Center.
This is the second year that the Department of Justice is recognizing the day. It's important for us to show our surviving victims that we understand their pain, we recognize their pain, and we are here for them during the time of crisis. It's important that we, as a community, show them that we are here with them. It's a time for them to come together with other family members to support one another. I know in the past we have had some who have met for the first time at the event and they have kept in touch. Our participants are survivors that the Department of Justice has worked with. Some of them we have worked with very closely because their cases have ended. Some of them we were successful in getting convictions for them. So we are tasked with providing services to all victims. We make sure that our victims are treated with dignity and compassion. We serve as liaisons, or the victim advocates. We serve as liaisons between the attorneys and victims. We make sure that they are aware of what is happening in their cases. So if they are a victim, we try to inform them, update them, just let them know exactly what is going on with their case. If they want to be at every hearing and they want not only assistance, but if they want us to accompany them to court, the victim advocates, we do that. We make sure that, we sit there with them in court, a trial, after trial, we assist them with preparing victim impact statements, whether it's verbal or written. We make sure that they have a say in telling the judge exactly what they would like to see happen.
National Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims was designated by Congress as September 25th in 2007, Robert and Charlotte Hollinger of Cincinnati formed Parents of Murdered Children following the 1978 murder of their 19-year-old daughter, Lisa, while she was studying in Germany. The annual day of observance is on the date Lisa was murdered. The program began with the laying of roses on the waterfront. Then it continued with a ceremony that encouraged family members who lost loved ones to call his or her names and say a few words in remembrance.
My nephew that was found floating in the harbor, and I had a cousin, my aunt grandson, the farmer down in Bordeaux. I had prayer by the nightclub in Pueblo. Had my cousin, the Hughes. One was killed compound by the car wash, and his son around the field, hospital line. And today, I remember all my family members, including my son, that was senselessly murdered here in this community.
My name is Edgar Baker Phillips, District Chairman of the St. Thomas Democratic District Committee. Tonight I pay special tribute to 4 members of my family who I lost to murder. My youngest brother, Lawrence Phillips. My second oldest sister, Marilyn Phillips. My second oldest brother, Liston Phillips. And my father, Edgar Weston Phillips. May they rest in peace.
Before becoming an administrator, I've been in education, elementary teacher, 15 plus years. And I've buried more than 7 to 8 students already through gun violence. So I feel a pain too. Because when a child comes to school, they spend more waking hours with a teacher than with a parent. So there's that attachment that goes along with it. So when you get a call and say you lost such and such, it really hurts. And especially with a child that always comes back to look for you and look out for you, it really touches. In the St. Thomas and John district, classroom-wise, elementary-wise, I was the only black male education teacher for about 10, 11 years. Stephen Payne graduated with his bachelor's. He said, I have company now. And he was taken away from all of us.
My name is Sharon Jackson McDonald, the daughter of the late Hugo D. Jackson, a former businessman, a family man, a community activist. And I'm standing here on behalf of my family, Senator Myron D. Jackson and my mother, Bernice P. Jackson, a retired nurse. Both my mom and dad owned the Jackson Esso gas station restaurant. I was a junior in college at Clark Atlanta, which is now known as Clark Atlanta University. And I received a call from one of my classmates, and all she said, "Your father was shot." The story continues, and I remember my father, a hardworking individual. I was a daddy's girl, but he loved the people of the Virgin Islands. He was a wise man, a happy man. He was a Christian man, a loving father, the epitome of what a man should be to his family. He was that.
VI Attorney General Denise George and other law enforcement members of the community encourage people to come forward if they have information that could lead to not only arrests to solve the cold cases, but closure for the families.
I have prosecuted violent felony cases, including murder cases, in the District of St. Thomas and St. John. for the last 6 years. All too often, I've seen firsthand the pain and suffering of family members who have had a loved one stolen from them because someone chose to commit murder. Of course, murder is not a problem unique to the Virgin Islands. I am originally from Philadelphia, a city of more than 1.5 million people, where there are hundreds of murders every year. However, murder has a disproportionate impact in the Virgin Islands because we are a small community. The population of St. Thomas and St. John combined is roughly 55,000 people. When someone gets murdered in St. Thomas or St. John, there is a good chance that we will know the victim or even the murderer. We may even be related to them.
I too lost a loved one last April. I lost my nephew to gun violence. And because I understand our collective loss, I accepted the invitation to speak here tonight. It is very hard as a police officer to respond to another young man or young woman whose life was senselessly taken from them. It's even harder to console the mother or another relative of trying to give them hope that the police will eventually catch the person who did this. I know that feeling because just like you, I went through the same thing. For me, it is especially rough because my sister, when she found out that she had terminal cancer, she called me in Orlando and asked me to look out for her sons. And I accepted that responsibility, and I felt like I had failed her because one of her children was taken in her absence. Our family relives this every day, and I know that you also do the same. The saddest part about these senseless crimes is that most of these murders are being committed by our own children, our own sons, grandsons, nephews, uncles, cousins, brothers, and even our daughters. That's right. Some of our daughters are caught up in the demise of some of our sons. And these are people that we know. We ride the bus with them. We live in the same house with them, but we remain silent because they are family. We must stop the bleeding. We must break the silence. We can visit our relatives in jail and have a conversation with them. And perhaps over time they will change. But we have all seen the cycle. We know what happened when the word gets on the streets that someone caused someone to die. And then we see the streets remove the perpetrator or the person they believe to be the perpetrator. That too must stop. We must let justice prevail.
Many of the family members keep hope alive that justice will be served for the person or persons who took the life of their loved ones.
And we await justice because the Lord said, justice is mine, said the Lord, and I'm waiting at my God for justice.
And I know that justice will be done, and I know that they will find my father, the person who killed our dad. Even before, I always believe, before my mother, who is 91 years of age. that that person will be found, or they will just say, or someone will speak.
I know in my heart, like Pastor Sharon just said, justice will be served. God already knows. It's just for us to find out and bring a closure to their deaths.
I'd like to say thank you so much to Attorney General Denise George, who came on the radio. That's how I heard it. So I want to publicly thank her, Department of Justice, the Office of the Attorney General, for remembering every person that have lost a loved one.
And my children, in particular my firstborn daughter and her husband, decided that their father and father-in-law, Roy Peterson Sr., his name and his memory will continue to live on. So they started the Roy Peterson Sr. Foundation, and it's an organization that caters to basketball. We have tournaments. We've been having tournaments from 2014, and they just want to see and want to continue his legacy, as he was an avid basketball player, coach, mentor, everything.
Kadeem Omari John was my third child, and he was murdered December 10th, 2015. His birthday, December 24th. It was very hard for me. I know Kadeem was one of those children you have to speak to over and over to get things done. But nevertheless, you ask him to do something, you go, oh, mommy man. But he always had a smile on his face. All his friends called him Smiley. His life was taken by his friend. He considered him a friend, Kimoy Karasvi. When I was told it was him who murdered Kadeem, I was like, wow, that's his friend.
The Virgin Islands Police Department recognizes that in the greater world of public opinion, our agency might appear minuscule in the great arena of homicides. However, we believe that our attitude determines our altitude, and have demonstrated that we can do a lot with a little. Just last week over on St. Croix, our Criminal Investigation Bureau arrested 2 young men, 2 of our sons, for a murder committed in 2018. The Virgin Islands Police Department will continue its full support to the violent crime reduction initiatives in the territory as part of our commitment to the overall safety and security of the people of our territory. Finally, the police cannot solve every crime, but we can solve more with your willingness to say something when you see something. Please call Crime Stoppers. If you have a problem calling 911, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. 1-800-222-8477. You will remain anonymous. Now, to clear up a misnomer that I hear going around the territory, there is nobody at the 911 center who will receive that call. There is no one in the territory who knows that you are calling. The calls are answered outside of the territory. And when they are answered, your phone number is not shown. So they don't know your number. All they see is the area code for the U.S. Virgin Islands. This means that there is no way that you can be identified.
If you have lost a loved one, call the Victim Services Unit, Elma Brathwaite or Donnelly Edwards KB at 340-774-5666, extension 10205 and 10159. You can also call the Family Resource Center at 340-776-3966. The Family Resource Center, Inc. is a private nonprofit agency incorporated to establish a counseling program and a shelter for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault.
God be the glory, and Barricky will always be in my heart, in my life, in my mind, and everything I do, He will be in my life. Barricky, I love you, and your life won't go in vain. The Lord will take you through, and the Lord will keep on blessing you wherever you are. And be strong, everybody. Thank you.